Hello YouTube, Magnitude Gaming here with our next episode on the History Competitive Play. Just 3 weeks after the win by Canadian and Team Super Friends member Alvarado, the SJC circuit took us all the way to the West Coast. The Shonen Jump Championship was back in the City of Angels, Los Angeles, California. This was the second time in 2005 that the city would be hosting the major tournament. A lot had changed in the landscape since then. At the time, all the winners were from the West Coast, except for like 2 events. Now there was no doubt that the East Coast was dominating the SJC circuit, with every winner since SJC Indianapolis being from the East Coast. A lot had changed within the last few weeks of SJC Chicago. With Don Zalug, Spear Reaper, and Monarchs being seen in a lot of decks, people adapted. Dark World monsters were now being sighted. If these guys were discarded by Don Zalug, Spear Reaper, or Thessalos, it could mean huge trouble for the person that triggered the effects. Alvarado cited it in Gravekeeper Spies as walls, and because people were playing Smashing Ground. The spies were used as bait, so they could keep their stronger monsters alive. Now many players are siding or main decking them. Nomad of Extermination was seeing play as well, as many players were opting to run multiple copies of Sakura 2 Armor or Widespread Ruins after the second place finish of Carlos Santiago at Chicago. Speaking of Carlos Santiago, he and his teammate Paul Levitin had been playing a copy of Bazoo the Soul Eater in their decks at Chicago, and the winner Alvarado was also playing a copy in his side deck. Bazoo is a great level 4 monster that could beat over big monsters such as Jinzo or any Monarch due to his effect to boost himself up. Carlos Santiago and Paul Levitin took this card and built their decks around him. The deck was called Bazoo Return. They made 3 copies of him along with 3 Return from a different dimension. The strategy was simple. Remove monsters from the graveyard to power up Bazoo. Then use Return from a different dimension to finish off the game. This strategy gave Carlos Santiago his 3rd top in 4 events, and Paul Levitin had top for the 4th consecutive event in a row. Team Scoop had at least 2 members in top 8 in every event since SJC Boston. Anthony Alvarado from Team Overdose was back in top 8, and this was his first top since SJC Charlotte that he won. He was the only member in top 8 to also play Bazoo in his main deck, and he was also signing a copy. He also made Return from a Different Dimension, and was playing the standard DD Warrior lineup, like DD Survivor, Assailants, Warrior Lady, etc. Then there was Jonathan Navarro. Some of you might be too young to remember this, but there was once a deck built around milling your opponent out. You basically abused Morphing Jar and Cyber Jar, with cards like Book of Moon, Book of Taiyu, and basically just keep abusing them and flipping them back face up and face down until your opponent decks out. It actually had gotten second at Worlds that year. We called it Empty Jar. The deck remained relevant up until they banned Morphing Jar years later. Navarro was the creator of that deck, and he had finished 10th place at the previous Shonen Jump Los Angeles earlier in the year. Navarro was in top 8 playing a Monarch control deck. He was playing the Gravekeeper Spy Engine with Guard and 3 Decoichis. He was also playing 2 Legendary Jujutsu Master and 2 Soul Exchange. Kirk Leonhardt wasn't a household name at all, but he was in attendance at the first Shonen Jump Championship a year before. At 55 years old, he might be the oldest person to ever top an SJC event. He had also gotten into Yugioh because of his son 3 years ago, and now he was in top 8 at SJC Los Angeles. He was playing well, a strange control deck for the format. Big Shield Gardna, Injection Fairy Lily, and 2 Giant Rats, along with Mystic Swordsman level 2, and 2 Mobius of Frost Monarch and 2 Thessalos. Future 3-time winner Angel Flores was in his first top 8 appearance. His deck was standard for the time. However, he was Tekken Kinetic Soldier for massive damage when attacking warrior monsters. Froze Remcharen was playing for Team Nexus, and he was hoping to bring the team their 3rd title of the year. He was mostly known for judging events, as he had been a level 3 judge. He got into top 8 playing a Cyber Stein OTK deck. His deck was built around Nimomanga, Morphing Jar, 2 Last Will, Giant Trunade, 2 Gravity Bind, and of course 2 Cyber Steins. David Gross rounded out the top 8 with his Chaos Warrior deck. He was one of the few duelists playing the deck that opted to main Decoichis and was the only player maining Chaos Sorcerer. 5 of the 8 players from the East Coast, and it was looking really good for the East actually. Paul Levitin beat Kirk Leonhardt after Kirk drew no monsters to get over Paul's Breaker the Magical Warrior. Paul Levitin was finally able to get out of top 8 and was on his way to top 4. Jonathan Navarro was able to beat Anthony Alvarado and will be taking on Paul Levitin in top 4. Angel Flores and Carlos Santiago won their top 8 matches, and this set up an East vs West Coast match on both sides of the bracket. Team Scoop had 2 members in top 4, and they were going for an all-Team Scoop final. Paul Levitin was victorious, and he made it to the finals. Angel Flores made a great play by chain blocking Carlos Santiago's Torrential Tribute by flipping World Decree and then Call the Haunted. With an attack from Mobius the Frostmark and DD Warrior Lady, Angel Flores was in the finals against Paul Levitin. Angel Flores was a local at the time, that wasn't known at all. But Paul Levitin was the hottest player of the year and had no question the most momentum going into this event. The first game started out in Flores' favor. he was able to use Danzug to hit cards out of Paul's hand. It looked like Flores would slowly gain advantage over Paul. However, a torrential tribute let Paul get right back into it. The game dragged on for a bit, with both players sitting on Spirit Reaper. Angel killed the Spirit Reaper and had Jinzo on his board. Paul Levitin outed Jinzo with Bazoo the Soul Eater due to his effect. Angel outed Bazoo, and Paul was down to his DD Assailant and a set card. He attacked into Angel's set Sakura armor. That didn't matter, because Paul flipped his return from a different dimension. It brought back all of his monsters that were moved by Bazoo, which let Paul with Levitin steal Game 1. Game 2 was also a huge back and forth battle like Game 1. Kinetic Soldier was deadly in this matchup, and Flores had a lot going for him early. He was even up 5,500 to 2,100 life points. Paul Levitin was able to trigger Torrential Tribute once again, and was able to reset the neutral game between both players. Levitin got Bazoo out and just kept increasing his attack. Soon it was Flores on the defense, and he was using Scapegoats to hold out as long as he could. Flores was down to 150 life points, and with a direct attack from Spirit Reaper, that was enough to give Paul Levitin the win. Paul Levitin was able to go undefeated in Swiss, and carry this momentum into Day 2, and was able to win his first Shonen Jump title. He 2-0'd all of his opponents. Yeah, really, no, he did 2-0 all of his opponents, and to this day I think he actually might be the only person, or one of the few people to ever go completely undefeated in a tournament. Didn't drop a single game, let alone a single match. This was also the first title for Team Scoop, and one of the most loaded Shonen Jumps ever. It was Paul Levitin who came out on top, and Bazoo Return was the new deck to watch out for. Team Scoop was finally on top. Thanks for watching, guys. Tune in for our next episode covering SJC San Francisco, the final Shonen Jump of 2005. That's the T for Magnitude, guys. Thanks for watching.